Welcome to Life Extension Live, another Wednesday show, 5 years and going strong.
That's right.
I'm Dr. Mike, and that is
Dr. Crystal.
Hey, today it's all about taking care of your gut, and it's more than just focusing on digestion, absorption of nutrients, eliminating waste, although that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out we're learning more and more how connected the digestive system is, the intestinal tract, to so many other body parts.
It's so many body systems.
Systems, yeah. It really is an amazing interconnection.
Yeah, systems and diseases.
So we got, listen, at the end of the day, we got to make sure our guts are healthy. So on today's show, we're going to talk about how to reduce the risk of serious diseases by taking care of your gut, foods you should avoid, and how to properly store ones that you should be eating, and how to restore your gut health with pre and probiotics. We got a lot to talk about.
It's a jam-packed show, so let's jump on in.
Let's jump in. Why is gut health so important? I'm going to say the first one.
Okay.
Because it's simple.
All right.
It's a barrier.
Yes.
Yes.
It's our barrier from the outside world.
Yeah.
Everything that enters the body is not good for the body.
Right. So it's a smart barrier, like your smartphone, right? It keeps the bad stuff out and lets the good stuff in.
Yes, and it also, with the hydrochloric acid, it's a fighter. That acid in the stomach.
It does.
If it gets in, then the HCl will kill pathogenic pathogens trying to get into the body.
So there you go. That's my number one barrier.
Yeah, first line of defense.
I know your number two. I already know what it's going to be.
What's that?
Something to do with nutrition.
Of course.
Right.
This is the place where food is digested. There's a saying that it's not what you eat. That saying, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
It's you are what you digest.
Oh, that's good. Right.
Right? You can eat all the foods in the world, but if you don't have proper digestion, the enzymes to break down those food components to release the nutrients, then you're wasting your time.
You're not going to get very far. How about this one? It's the second brain.
Yes, we do know there's the enteric nervous system.
Right.
And it's connected to the brain.
So interesting little embryology fact. You want me to do this?
Yes.
Turns out, did you know this? Because I told you this before. I didn't know if you knew that. But anyways, you did. You knew that. Of course you did. So interesting, in an embryo, in a human embryo, the nervous system and the gut come from the same clump of tissue. And then they just grow in opposite direction. One becomes the nervous system, one becomes the gut. So there is a true embryology connection.
Yeah, that highway, that's the vagus nerve, right?
Yeah.
That highway that leads from the gut to the brain. And that second brain in the gut makes brain chemicals, neurotransmitters, and impacts your mood and impacts sleep and so many other, aspects of cognitive function.
And we have to throw in there, your gut's important because it's a way to eliminate waste. Yeah, there's stuff you don't want to keep. You want to move it on out, Dr. Crystal.
And not just waste that we ingest, waste from inside of the body is also eliminated through the gut.
There's stuff that develops through metabolism and physiology that you want to get rid of all that.
Uh-huh.
So you're right. It's really just getting rid of all waste.
That's right.
And that's pretty important. Now, I think the big focus, though, and this has been the big research focus for many years now, is the microbes.
Right. Or the microbiome.
The microbiome.
Yeah, but I called it the second half of you, right? Or the secret.
The secret
second half.
The secret
of who you are.
The hidden half of yourself. We'll get it. The hidden half of yourself. A fun little fact. I have it written down here. Human cells make up only 43% of the body's total cell count.
We're covered in microbes all over and the inside as well. And we have these different microbiomes in different areas of the body, the nose, the ears, the mouth, the GI tract. And that's kind of what we're talking about on this show. But this, it's impacted by who we live with, what we eat, or what we choose not to eat.
Right, very interesting.
And our environment. All of this impacts the microbes, our co-family.
Our co-family. And it's, you were, before the show, Dr. Crystal was telling me about, I guess, some research showing that when kids go off to college and they get in those small dorm rooms, they start sharing the microbiome, right? Because they're eating the same foods, they're living in kind of close quarters, right? And sharing up. And then when one of them, you said, takes antibiotics, it affects everyone's microbiome.
Everyone's microbiome. It's just an amazing.
Cool.
And these are, when we say microbiome, these are bacteria, viruses, fungi. They are all these are microbes that over half of us, we're over 50%.
Of these microbes,
right. Which is fantastic to think about.
It really is.
And they control so many things. Dude, there's this saying, well, research now shows that if you're craving food, like let's say, oh, I want a burger, or oh, I want something sweet, is it the human cells
or is
craving, or are your microbes craving something sweet?
Well, listen, if it's the microbes, my microbes really like cheese.
Maybe so.
Because I can eat cheese just about in any form.
Yes, and so you can alter those microbes, and we'll talk about how to create that balance.
So again, they're involved with metabolism, behavior, immune defense. And here's the other thing I just want to mention. If you take care of your digestive system, you can actually reduce the risk of a lot of diseases that we don't want, like Alzheimer's and cardiovascular disease.
So, I would say all diseases are impacted by your microbiome and ultimately the health of your gut, which is why we're having this show. And there's a fascinating area of research now. Bugs as drugs.
Yeah,
that
true.
We're now seeing that you can treat diseases by introducing microbes that can help you manage that disease better.
Yeah. So often when somebody has a chronic disease, you lose diversity in your microbiome, and they're starting to show. I think we were talking about this earlier, like Parkinson's. Parkinson's patients tend to have a very specific type of microbiome that's not very diverse versus somebody that's healthy, right?
Right. And what we now know is with the introduction of antibiotics, while it was a great discovery and still is saving lives, we're now seeing more prevalence of autoimmune diseases and many other chronic diseases, likely linked to the fact that when we are introducing antibiotics into the body, we're killing good and bad.
Right. And that really causes a lot of issues and imbalance, the dysbiosis, right?
Yes.
And so when you have dysbiosis, that imbalance, you're at risk for a lot of the diseases. There was even in Nature, the magazine Nature, there was an article about dysbiosis connected to addiction.
Yes, that in the gut, in these individuals, the gut was sending signals to the brain that promoted addiction behavior.
That's amazing.
And that's that dysbiosis that's developed through our lifestyle choices.
I just find that, when you really think about this is like, we've learned so much in the last, say, decade about the microbiome, and we've just gotten started.
Still very young.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just got to. So listen, we got to take care of our gut. Now, people often ask, online. We try to be trendy, right? We follow you young kids on Google. Is that where the young kids go? I don't even know.
No, they're not.
And it just gave me a thumbs down.
They're on Twitter.
They're on Twitter, whatever. Yeah. So, but we look at that. And one of the top questions that people will ask online is, well, how do I know if my gut is unhealthy?
So that's a somewhat of a loaded question. And most people kind of think about the obvious symptoms: constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, burping, bloating.
Right.
And yes, those are the obvious signs. But I would dare to say, any health concern that you're dealing with, you want to think about the role of the gut.
Yeah.
So if you have diabetes, think about the gut. If you are struggling with weight management, think about your gut.
Yeah. You could even throw in autoimmunity in there. If you have skin conditions, a lot of that can also be reflected in the gut as well. But one of the things I don't want people to do, don't wait until you have a symptom. Just let's take care of our gut right now.
Yes.
Regardless of how it's going for you. So, and there's a lot of things you can do, and we're going to get into what we think is probably the best coming up. So let's just get into it. How can I improve my gut?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about 3 things that you want to do and 3 things that you probably should avoid doing.
Right. So let's talk about what one thing you should do: proper hygiene.
So simple.
So simple, and it is as simple as soap and water.
That's it.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, especially after you use the bathroom. A lot of gut issues are caused by H. pylori, a bacteria that colonizes the digestive tract. Specifically, a lot of people find that it's building up in the stomach. It's there, but the overgrowth of that H. pylori, and it's related to many gastrointestinal issues and concerns.
Sure. Yeah, so
more of the obvious ones.
Simple thing. Wash your hands, right? Go so far. A little bit on food safety, right? This is important too. First thing we wanted to make sure is you got to check your labels, right? You got to know what you're eating, know what you're consuming. Be a smart consumer. We got to stop looking at the front of products. That's just all marketing stuff.
Yeah.
You got to look at the back. You got to look at the numbers. Everything from calories, sugar, those added sugars we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Fats that you don't want, those trans fats. Make sure you're reading those labels and just make that a habit.
Yes. And then when we talk about food safety broadly, we're saying make sure that you are cooking your foods to proper temperature.
Oh. Yep.
Making sure that you wash your vegetables, your fruit.
I bet you have you probably have a kit.
I have a process. I don't have a kit, but I do have an elaborate process. And I finally have the whole family on board with my fruit washing process, which includes removing your berries from the container, washing that container before you put them back. Because we store them in that container. Those types of things, that can cut down on food poisoning. And because a lot of people who are dealing with, let's say, SIBO, that's happening after a bad bout of food poisoning. You find a lot of people who are dealing with IBS and those issues.
Should we tell them what SIBO is?
Oh, yes. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Right. It's we're recognizing that more and more, right. and it comes from maybe bouts of food poisoning, as you said.
Bouts of food poisoning or even IBS symptoms. Some of that just because maybe we ate food that was sitting out for too long. Right. Over what is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours at room temperature?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Then that food needs to be thrown away. We go to parties.
That food has been out for hours.
I watch party trays, and when people are sticking their hands in the tray, I'm not touching that tray. If people are talking over the food.
That's why you got to get there early and get the food fast. You get in there first. You touch all the trays.
Oh, no.
But you mentioned food poisoning. I want to clear up something there, though, because I think when we say food poisoning, most people are thinking like the real bad food poisoning, both ends, not good stuff. That may not be the case. You could have a mild case of food poisoning. Maybe in the middle of the night you wake up and you're a little grumbly, mumbly.
Little gastritis.
So it doesn't have to be that huge thing. And so, storing food right, knowing when to throw it away, cooking to the right temperature, all of that is important. Reading labels, staying with as much clean food as you can.
Yeah, very simple things, practical things that you can do. And I think I think that was it, right?
We covered a bunch of stuff.
3 was track your symptoms. So the first thing was to proper hygiene, 2, food safety, 3, track your symptoms, and don't eat things that just don't agree with your body.
I know.
Pretty simple, right?
No, that's not simple. It's the last one.
No.
Listen, as you get older, you start learning, maybe there's some foods I can tell my stomach doesn't like that, whatever. But once in a while.
Don't do it.
It's hard. Robson, it's hard.
Just don't do it. That's your body telling you.
I know what it's telling me.
I don't like this.
Sometimes I just don't want to listen.
Those are your gut bugs saying, hey, you know what? Us gut guys down here, we don't like what you're putting in your body right now. Yeah. And you should listen to the second half of who you are.
And speaking of the hidden half.
Hidden half.
You just can't get that right. And then other things too, speaking of not to take and stuff or overdo, antibiotics. Obviously, if you need them, you got to take them. But we have overused them across the board.
Well, people leave the doctor's office and they want a script.
Yeah. And a vast majority of the time, especially during like cold and flu season, it's a virus.
Right.
It's not even a bacteria causing the problem.
Yeah, I think the second thing is overindulging in alcohol.
Right.
I think we underestimate the negative impact of alcohol on gut health.
Completely.
Most of the focus is liver. Yeah. Everyone knows that alcohol is bad for your liver, and we do know that. But the alcohol, just in general, being in alcohol damages the gut lining.
Damages the gut lining.
Just on contact.
Yeah. And then also it can decrease that diversity that you want in your microbiome. Yeah. And then once you lose that diversity, now you get a whole bunch of other problems. So alcohol, more and more research is actually, as you said, looking at alcohol's effect on the gut than it is on the liver.
Right.
Yep.
And then the third thing that you do not want to do is taking NSAIDs.
Like
chronically,
aspirin.
Yes.
The ibuprofens. Yeah.
Naproxen.
Yeah, those things can be, again, we're not, all of this is about just know what you're doing. No, we're not saying you can't drink, just come on, don't overdo it. Not saying you can't take ibuprofen sometimes when you need it. But if you're taking those kind of medications all the time for arthritis or whatever it is, that's not good for your gut at all. Yeah. All right. So there you go. Some tips, things to do, and some things not to do. Let's talk about food. Gut health. I mean, if we're talking about gut health, don't we need to talk about food?
Absolutely.
And what is going to be... What is going to be Dr. Crystal's? Let's see if you can predict. Anybody, if you're online, you can comment and stuff. I'm going to ask Dr. Crystal, what is the number one thing we should increase in our diet to help with the gut? And if you can guess, give us a comment what she's going to say, because I know what she's going to say.
Of course you do.
On the count of 3, type in, if you're there, type 1, 2, 3, fiber.
Of course. Fiber foods. Now, this can be in the form of fruit, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds. You just have to get that fiber in there. Your gut bugs love it. They love the fiber. It acts as food to nourish those good bugs. And they help to support, or fiber helps to support diversity.
Right. And then we talked about fermented foods as well, right? Matter of fact, on one show recently, we fermented garlic. Remember that?
We did. That was last week, right?
Was that last week?
Yes.
That feels like that was like a year ago.
No, that was
Robson, check her dates.
Fermented foods, that's going to be your so many things. Pickles, yogurt. Kefir.
Wait, I'm getting hungry now. Is that my microbes?
Did you know that chocolate was a fermented food?
Are my microbes starting to, you mentioned some. Yeah. My microbes are kicking in, Robson.
Sauerkraut. I'm just going to, kimchi.
Oh, I love kimchi.
It's all the fermented foods. You should try fermenting some yourself. It's so easy to do. We love those fermented foods. They do, some of them can deliver probiotics.
And that's what a great lead in, right? So we want to, again, when it comes to gut health, there's a lot you should be doing, basic things. When it comes to specific nutrients, though, that you might want to take, and there's digestive enzymes, There's certain nutrients that are good for like the lining of the gut. I mean,
Glutamine.
I mean, there's a bunch there. But I think for everyone, the foundation and where to start is probiotics.
Probiotics. These are living microorganisms that, and I'm giving you the official definition because there's some back and forth on the definition by some societies. Living microorganisms that promote health when ingested in sufficient amounts.
Right. And you know, it's such a simple concept to think. If these are important, you know, we know vitamins are important. We know minerals are important. We know omega-3 oils are important. We talk about that a lot. And so what do? We eat those things and we supplement with those things. Probiotics, same thing. Get more fermented food. Get yourself a nice probiotic, you know.
Right. And with your fermented foods, let's say if it is a yogurt, make sure you look for the word probiotics.
Yeah, because some of them aren't
there's no guarantee that the microorganisms, the bacteria is alive in all fermented foods, or that they have research that they've been shown to be beneficial for the body. So you kind of want to look for that.
Now, you might also hear, and the fiber was kind of maybe part of this conversation, when it comes to probiotics, you're hearing more about than the prebiotics.
Yes, right. And that's the fiber.
Right.
And so your probiotics, you're delivering the live organisms, right? Prebiotics, you're delivering the food for those organisms to thrive.
They're alive. They got to eat.
And when they eat, they metabolize that food, and there are different byproducts from that metabolism. That's not on here, but those are called postbiotics.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other show.
So there's now pre, pro, and post. Yeah, that's all.
Postbiotics, but you know, that's the point, is to make sure those bugs have food to eat so that they can make short chain fatty acids, so that they can alter the pH to make a healthier pH environment in the gut.
Fructooligosaccharides is the big prebiotic, and you find it in asparagus, bananas, garlic. Ooh, we love our garlic. Artichokes, onions, even oats and wheats can contain that important prebiotic. That seems to be the one prebiotic a lot of research is focusing on, right?
Yes, we call it FOS.
Right. FOS. Well, tell them.
You just said the fructooligosaccharides.
There you go. So listen, a lot of stuff that we covered in today's show. I think the key thing that we're trying to impress upon everyone, including ourselves, is now is the time. No matter what age you are, what you're doing in life, where you're at, what you're going through, now, today, is the day to start focusing on gut health. That's pretty good.
Yes, it's not too late.
It's never too late. So think about some of those tips. Think about some of the foods. Think about some of the probiotics. Just so important. At the end of the day, you're going to feel better.
Yes.
Right? And you could actually reduce the risk of some serious diseases.
Yep. And if you're currently struggling with GI issues, keep a food diary. Track how you feel when you eat certain foods.
Now, if you would like to learn more about what we've been talking about and a whole bunch of other different articles, you can go to lifeextension.com/wellness. Ton of stuff there on gut health, recipes, just full of good stuff. That's lifeextension.com/wellness. Now, don't forget, too, our sponsor, Life Extension, I'm going to get it right this time.
Okay.
Because you guys are so awesome, if you go to lifeextension.com, go to lifeextension.com/wellness when you're done reading. Go buy a couple. Go check out the probiotics. Go look at some stuff in gut health. You can buy a couple of products. When you're at checkout, you put the discount code LELIVE, and you'll get 10% off, $50 or more, and free shipping and handling. That's 10% off $50. That's lifeextension.com. Go check that out. And don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. We've been doing it for now over 5 years.
Over 5 years. That's right.
I don't even know how many shows that is, but that's live every Wednesday at 12 Eastern. Don't forget to hit interested, ring bells, do whatever you have to do to remind yourself that we're about to go live. I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
We'll see you next time.